Hi friends, now we'll discuss about the posterior part of the norma basalis. As you already know, the posterior part is the part of the basal view behind the line passing in front of the anterior margin of foramen magnum. The bones you see here are occipital bone and the mastoid part of the temporal bone and some part of petrous bone you will see. So basically pair of temporal bones and unpaired occipital bone you see here in the posterior part, and you will see the biggest foramina, that is foramen magnum. On either side of it you will see the occipital condyles, and behind you will see external occipital crest attached to the two nuchal lines, superior and inferior, pair of superior and inferior nuchal lines you will see. So let us study about the posterior part of the norma basalis view. So when you see here, you are seeing the occipital bone. In the midline you are having a foramina magnum. Name itself says it is a large foramina magna. It is divided into two parts by ligaments. Anterior part is called as osteoligamentous part, posterior neurovascular part. On either side anteriorly you will see occipital condyles which are articulated with the atlas, and just above occipital condyles you are seeing hypoglossal canal or foramina transmitting hypoglossal nerve there. That is hypoglossal foramina transmitting the same named nerve. And foramina magnum is very important as it transmits number of structures. It's around 3.5 cm anteroposteriorly and around 3 cm transversely, the diameters, and it is divided into anterior osteoligamentous part and posterior neurovascular part. As the anterior osteoligamentous part transmits the apical ligament, cruciate ligament, membrana tectoria and apical ligament of Dens, whereas posterior neurovascular part transmits spinal cord, spinal arteries and coverings of the spinal cord, axillary nerve. That's why it is called as neurovascular part. And as you go in front of the anterior margin of foramen magnum, that point is called as basion. Middle of the anterior margin of the foramen magnum is called as basion. Remember that. And as you go posterior to the foramen magnum, you will see a crest which is similar to the crest inside. This is called as external occipital crest, extending from the posterior margin of foramen magnum to the external occipital protuberance. In the middle you will see inferior nuchal line. On either side of external occipital protuberance you will see superior nuchal line. So these things you will see, and this external occipital crest gives attachment to the ligamentum nuchae. Ligamentum nuchae, nucha means neck. So ligament of the neck is there. So that is ligament of nuchae is attached to external occipital crest. And coming to the features here, what we have described. So foramen magnum we have seen. As you go posterior to the foramen magnum, what we have described is external occipital crest, inferior nuchal line, superior nuchal line, and this is the posterior margin of foramen magnum. And the area between this superior nuchal line and inferior nuchal line gives attachment to two muscles, that is semispinalis capitis medially and obliquus capitis superior laterally. You will see the area between superior and inferior nuchal line medially gives attachment to semispinalis muscle or semispinalis capitis you can say, and lateral to obliquus capitis superior, one of the boundary of suboccipital triangle, whereas the area between inferior nuchal line, which is coming from the midline of the occipital crest, medially gives attachment to rectus capitis posterior superior, posterior major and minor are attached between these two lines, between the inferior nuchal line and the posterior margin of foramen magnum. Rectus capitis posterior superior minor medially, major laterally. These are attachment to this commas part of the occipital bone. And as you see here, on either side of the posterior margin of foramen magnum you will see this fossa there, or posterior condylar fossa, or sometimes it will present the canal, whereas anterior it presents a hypoglossal foramina, or also called as anterior condylar foramina, passing hypoglossal nerve, and sometimes there will be posterior condylar foramina. As you go more laterally, you will see a jugular process of the occipital bone in the posterior margin of jugular fossa. There you will see, if you, yes, that is jugular process of the occipital bone, and just behind that you will see attachment of rectus capitis lateralis muscle, one of the paravertebral muscle, rectus capitis lateralis, and in front of it you are seeing jugular fossa. Jugular fossa is related to the internal jugular vein. It forms the floor of middle ear or tympanic cavity, jugular bulb you can say. Jugular fossa is that. Jugular fossa, floor of the middle ear, and just below and behind jugular fossa you will see jugular foramina. That is jugular foramina. You will see now the outline of jugular foramina. It is transmitting the inferior petrosal sinus, internal jugular vein, and 9, 10, 11 nerves. So these many structures pass through jugular foramina, and jugular foramina is important because just in the lateral wall of the jugular foramina, you can see jugular foramina, jugular fossa and cavity canal, and you will see in the lateral wall of the jugular fossa, there you will see mastoid canaliculi for the auricular branch of vagus. So vagus nerve will come out of the jugular foramina, but it gives auricular branch of vagus which will pass through mastoid canaliculi there. Now you will appreciate small canaliculi passing through that mastoid canaliculi for auricular branch of vagus, or tympanic canaliculi you can say. Tympanic canaliculi, better word is tympanic canaliculi, transmitting the auricular branch of vagus. And just between the carotid canal and jugular fossa you will see one more canaliculus. This canaliculus is known as the canaliculus for glossopharyngeal nerve, the tympanic plexus. So it will go there, tympanic plexus, and you will see a triangular impression for the ganglion of glossopharyngeal nerve in front for the inferior ganglion of glossopharyngeal nerve, and just medial to this or near the apex of this region you will see a canaliculi for the aqueduct of cochlea. That is aqueduct of cochlea, canaliculus for the aqueduct of cochlea. You will see that. So these are some features you see in the posterior part of the foramen magnum. About styloid and mastoid process, digastric notch, occipital artery we have already discussed in the norma lateralis. So that is about it. We will see the attachments. Coming to the attachments, here you will see, you are seeing the foramen magnum is transmitting the spinal cord covered by the meningeal layers. You will see the membrana tectoria there. If you take out that, the cruciate ligaments and apical ligaments are in the anterior part of the foramen magnum, apical ligament of dens. But here you can see spinal cord, important structure passing through the foramen magnum. It is a continuation of the brainstem or medulla. You can see the medulla there. Bulb-like structure which will contain a spinal cord, and one more structure pass through the foramen magnum from below, that is accessory nerve, spinal part of accessory nerve. It enters the skull via foramen magnum, but it exits the skull via jugular foramina that we have discussed just now. You can see And coming to the attachments between the superior and inferior nuchal lines, medially semispinous cavities, laterally obliquous cavities superior, between the posterior margin of foramen magnum and inferior nuchal line, rectus capitis posterior major and minor. You can say rectus capitis posterior major and minor muscles. So these are arrangements. And coming to the structure passing to jugular foramina, you will see jugular foramina is transmitting this internal jugular vein and glossopharyngeal nerve, vagus nerve and accessory nerve.